positively spectacular. No surprise at all what I saw from KD. The play-in in the playoffs, the play-in to get to the playoffs took place last night. I missed something though. I didn't see some championship celebration that everybody's been talking about. We're about to find out about that. They shouldn't have told me that. They shouldn't have told me there was a championship
Legs
celebration
has the details,
for a play-in game. I didn't know about that. Lord have mercy. First takes in the house. Let's go.
Play-in basketball is underway. You're going to see players put it on the line here to try to advance.
This is survival. Gotta treat every new day like a fight. Oh my, nobody believe it. They all in denial.
And this is why Brooklyn has a chance against anyone, because they've got Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
And the Brooklyn Nets will advance into the playoffs.
Now it's time to focus in on what the goal is, and that's to keep playing until June.
Oh, I can tell today's going to be one of those days. Gentlemen, we're talking playoff basketball. Does the play-in round count? I think it does.
Yes, I do.
It's playoff basketball.
We did it. We won the play-in.
I can't wait because I saw the first game, but I had a family matter to deal with last night.
Okay.
So I watched a lot of the second game, but I didn't see it all. And they telling me that I missed something after the game. So we'll talk about that later. I didn't see it.
Oh, my goodness. One shining moment.
Okay,
That's all I got to
just
say.
save it.
That's all I got to say.
Mr. Pat Bev.
Wait.
That's all I got to say.
Pat Bev with the Kobe pullover.
Hold up. Let me
all I gotta say.
hold on, Legs. Let me start with the early game,
All right.
and then you can get into the act like you've been there moment.
They got me interested. I didn't know. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's going to be a whole segment for you. How about that?
Oh, my goodness.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
So KD and Kyrie missed one shot combined in the first half of their 115-108 play-in win over the Cavs. Next up, round one versus the Boston Celtics, who just beat a KD and Kyrie net squad in March. Boston will not have Robert Williams available, as Ben Simmons may appear in this series. And speaking of Williams, KD not a fan of Bruce Brown's take on the Celtics. Listen up.
Now they don't have Robert Williams, so they have less of a presence in the paint, and we could attack Al Horford and Tice. So them not having Robert Williams is huge.
What did he say?
All right, man.
That's caffeine probably talking. Take some before the game. We don't need to say like that. Let's just go out there and hoop.
You're up first. Who should be favored in net Celtics?
Well, first things first. Let me comment about what KD said. Kevin Durant is the best basketball player on the planet Earth. He's the best in the world, in my mind. And when he says something like that, he would know. Two-time champion, two-time NBA Finals MVP. And I like Bruce Brown. I like him a lot. And I don't think he's getting enough shine, to be quite honest with you. He's their third wheel. Bruce Brown could play. And he plays on both ends. He doesn't cheat you with energy. He doesn't cheat you with effort. And I think his game is pretty nice. So I want to give Bruce Brown some love, but also some advice. You would need to listen to Kevin Durant. When Kevin Durant speaks about something like that, he's E.F. Hutton. You listen. Because you ain't qualified to say stuff like that about the opponent. You have done nothing yet in the postseason if you're Bruce Brown. You listen to Kevin Durant. That's all I got to say about that. I got the Nets favored to win this series. I got the Nets favored to win this series because of the absence of Robert Williams. If Robert Williams was there and he had him on the interior, then I would go with Boston. I think his absence is going to be pivotal. I know that Kyrie ain't going to have it as easy as he had it last night. It's Marcus Smart you're about to go up against. That's a different animal, okay? So I know it's going to be tough, but I just believe in KD so much that when you look at Boston, we're going to learn about Tatum and Brown. Because if you Tatum and Brown, you want this. This is the greatest opportunity that they have ever had in their careers as a team. This is a team that was going to the Eastern Conference Finals. But this right here, because it's a dynamic duo in Brooklyn, This is not you going up against a LeBron and obviously trying to get to the finals. This is you as a dynamic duo going up against the premier dynamic duo in basketball, in Kyrie Irving and KD. So this is Tatum and Brown's chance. It's just that I believe in KD. I have nothing else to say. The defense is shaky. All right.
Second unit is not good.
The defense is shaky. Their second unit is not good. I know that Boston collectively, their defense is elite, number one. I get all of that. But the absence of Robert Williams makes it come down to me. Tatum and Brown versus KD and Kyrie. And here's my belief. There's only one KD. And to take him out, I got to see it. I got to see it. It's one thing if Kyrie wasn't there. But with Kyrie being there, it's going to come down to KD. And I just believe in that brother. That's what I got.
Well, here's what I think. I think what happened last night was those two guys just put this impression in your head now, and you're envisioning this long run. Because I understand Robert Williams is important, but would you have said what you just said 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Or is it based on what you saw last night specifically, where now you go, okay.
In fairness to me.
Okay.
Fairness to me, because I'm
be fair to yourself.
Tim let's not be unfair to me right now.
Be fair to yourself.
Jay Williams would attest to this. I've been saying this for weeks now. I've been on NBA Countdown. Everybody been getting on me. I've been saying Brooklyn. Everybody like, what the hell's wrong with him? You understand? I'm saying they could get knocked out in the first round. I'm aware of this, or they could go to the finals.
Right.
But this series right here, I think Robert Williams is needed, and the fact that he's not there, that's where I'm at.
And you are right that they could make a run to the finals, but I don't think they're going to get past Boston.
Okay.
I'm picking Boston to win the series because Rob Williams is important, but it's a lot more than him when you talk about collectively, defensively, the way that they play and the number of guys on the perimeter with size and length and strength. And you don't have to shut these two dudes down. You just have to make them a little bit less efficient and then let the other weaknesses of the Nets' overall team come into play. If they're going to gut you the way they did last night, no, you got no chance. But Boston won't allow that to happen. They're going to make them less efficient. So now the lack of depth, the lack of size, the lack of shooting, all of those things come into play. And I just look at Boston and I say, I'm not going to slight what they just did, 26-6 to finish the year. It's legitimate. Now, I will say this. This is the biggest moment of Jason Tatum's career. He's the flag bearer now. You want a seat at the table with Kevin Durant and these guys? You've got to go toe-to-toe with Kevin Durant. You can't get outplayed thoroughly in this series. That doesn't mean you're going to be better than him every night, but you've certainly got to hold your own. So at the end of the series, we say, man, that was pretty much a push. Jason Tatum answered the bell, and then Jaylen Brown, do the best you can to match Kyrie. So then it comes down to the rest of your team, and that's why I have more faith in the Boston Celtics. I think their defense will do just enough to expose the other issues with the Nets roster that we just talked about.
You see, I think Boston is more of a complete team. But back to your point about Robert Williams, this is why I think it's such a huge loss, Legs. As a guard, Robert Williams' ability to show on all that pick and roll stuff, his feet laterally, he can stay in front of you to a degree, but also if you get by him just breathing on your neck, right? His ability to block shots or even alter you psychologically thinking, where's this guy coming from?
Track you.
Changes the dynamic of who they are defensively. I look at Al Horford, I look at Daniel Tyson, I say, these are the guys that Kyrie and KD want to see off every ball screen. Also, we talk about this moment for Jason Tatum. You talk about Kevin Durant. This is a massive opportunity for Kyrie. All the stuff that's been happening all year long about the vaccination, whether or not be playing, the conversation about would he show up when you need him to the most. It's an opportunity for him to exercise all the demons, to go into the Boston Garden with the incense, right? To take on the team that people said he wasn't the leader that they needed. He left us. Now it's an opportunity for Kyrie to show on the highest level that he is the guy that can lead a team along with maybe the best player in basketball, Kevin Durant.
I don't disagree with you on that at all. As a matter of fact, I was on vacation when Steven Jackson, for all the smoke, went on video talking about me because of what I had said about Kyrie Irving. I got to get at my brother because Steven Jackson's my brother. I love him dearly, but we just disagree a lot of times on certain issues, and this Kyrie Irving issue is one of them. This belief that I don't want to see Kyrie Irving play is just so inaccurate, it's embarrassing. It's the opposite. I want to see him play. How many times I've been saying he's a showstopper? How many times I've been lamenting the fact that where the hell you at? You should be out here. Why are we seeing a 60-point game a couple of times a year when with you it's capable of happening about a third of the year? It's spectacular as you are. The brother is box office, and last night when he had his first 12 shot, didn't miss a shot for the first 3 quarters. It would have been an NBA record, playoff record, if it was the playoffs as opposed to the play-in. Kyrie Irving is absolutely spectacular, but you are absolutely 1,000% right. Oh, you got to show up now, especially with all them damn games you missed. All them damn games you missed. If anybody got fresh legs, it's you.
The freshest. He's got the freshest legs.
You got the freshest legs in the league, okay? You got fresh legs. You ain't tired. You ain't fatigued. You ain't hurt. Nothing. And by the way, you going back to the place you promised you wanted to stay at if you have me, and then left anyway. You got that going on. You can spread all that sage all around the arena all you want to. You better show up. You understand what I'm saying? Spraying it all around. You know what I'm saying? You better be dropping buckets the way you spreading that sage. You understand? By the way, how did it smell? I don't know. They didn't tell me, but I know this much. It didn't smell great the last time we saw him in Boston. They lost that game.
Can I tell you what it smells like to me?
And so he got to show up.
Stephen A., I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Sure.
I think Kyrie Irving's the best offensive player we have in the game of basketball. I think Kyrie Irving is the best offensive player we have in the game of basketball. I'm not saying he's the most efficient. I know that's part of the conversation.
Right.
I've never seen, and y'all can sit up here and say whatever the hell you want about how I defended Kyrie during the vaccine stuff. I'm just telling you, as a guard who studies this game, who's challenged people, escapability, I hear you use that word a ton, his difficulty in shot making.
I understand.
I've never seen somebody be able to do what he's been able to do with the ball.
I'm going to come to
like
Tim with this.
before,
I'm going to come to Tim with this.
Ever.
I'm going to come to Tim with this.
All right.
You're not beyond the pale. Listen, your argument is not discredited. But I can't give it to him over KD. See, KD is something special. You got to remember something. This is Kyrie Irving gets in a rhythm. This is my interpretation, Tim, because I'm really interested in hearing what you think. Kyrie gets rolling, and it's like, oh, my God. It's about to be a show. He's clearly spectacular. There's no doubt about that. But you know what I really judge when I really judge the greatness of an offensive player? You can take time off during the game. You ain't paying attention. Let all you get involved, whatever. And then the bleeding keeps coming. And then you go like this. Just give me the ball. I'll calm things down. And then boom, boom, boom. Kevin Durant does it. He did it in the finals against LeBron one year when Clay and Steph was struggling. Last night, he did it on a couple of shots or whatever, got to his spots, did what he had to do, even though I don't think Kevin Durant has a spot. He can score from anywhere. I cannot say, as spectacular as Kyrie Irving is, I cannot say that he's a greater offensive talent than Kevin Durant. I can't do that.
So I'll throw a little dash on each argument. He's right from this perspective, like on a given night, that dude's capable of being the best player on the floor, like night after night for a long stretch.
Sure.
But to your point, I've said this all year, Kevin Durant is the only player in the NBA that there is no such thing as forcing him into some sort of weakness or a bad shot or a win for the defense because he's capable of making a shot from anywhere on the floor against any defender and against any scheme. And it really comes down to there's never been a player in the history of this league that combines the length, handle, and shooting ability of Kevin Durant. That's what it comes down to. There's never been that in one package. And that's why Kevin Durant is the ultimate answer. There's no doubt about it.
All right, before we move on, let me just get this on the record. So you're going the Nets in the series.
Yes.
You're going Celtics.
I'm going Boston.
I'm going Brooklyn.
You're going Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay.
And by the way, when I say Brooklyn, Game 7 on the road in Boston, KD, Kyrie, pull it out.
All right.
That's what
It's going to go 7.
Let's hope we get
I think it's going to go.
Let's hope we
I think it's going to go 7.
Right.
All right. Boston right now is the favorites. They did open as the underdogs, but that changed to the other playing game, and we're going to get all the details from Legs on this. The T-Wolves, how about it, rallied to defeat the Clippers after trailing by 10 with 8:54 to play. Minnesota finished on a 26-11 run, defeating LA 109-104. Minnesota is now the number 7 seed in the Western playoffs and will face Memphis in the first round starting on Saturday. Karl Anthony Towns fouled up midway through the fourth quarter. Here's Patrick Beverley living his best life.
What did you say to your old teammates at the end there when you were standing in front of the bench?
Take their ass home. Long fight to LA. Take y'all ass home. It's deeper that for me. You understand? I gave my blood and sweat and tears to that organization. You guys know the story. Blood, sweat, and tears to just be written off like that. He's injury prone. He's old. This, that. To be able to come here, play them in a play-in, beat their ass. No other feeling, man. No other feeling.
All right, before I ask the question, I'm going to let you react again.
Can I say he chugged a beer after that?
Yeah.
He had a beer at the podium. And then
I actually get where he's coming from on that part of it.
Sending them home on the bird. Get on the bird.
Hold on. I need y'all help on this again. Okay, I watched most of the game. I went back because I had to take care of family matter. I went home. I watched most of the game. I saw the end, but then I turned the channel. Okay, because I had other stuff to do. What I'm asking y'all is this: Jay Williams, Tim Legler, the floor is y'all's. Can y'all tell me what I missed after the game last night that you two have been laughing about for the past 20 minutes? Could you explain what did I miss?
Here's what you missed.
Okay.
And far be it from me, because look, I don't have a lot of long history of playoffs on my resume, so I get where they're coming from. Right. But here's what you missed: the most entertaining part of the entire night was the 30 or 40 minutes or so immediately after the game, because the Minnesota Timberwolves showed a little bit, I don't know, would you say exuberance over winning the game. I mean, you had dudes running up on top of the scorers table.
What? Oh, Patrick Beverly on
pointing
top of
to the crowd, taking jerseys off.
Throwing his jersey into
the
crowd.
You had family celebrations on the court. You had fireworks, confetti, tears. You had it so much to the extent, Stephen A., and our partners at Turner had the game. When they came to the studio after the game, Shaq had tears coming down his cheeks, and they started playing One Shining Moment. One Shining Moment, and we are the champions. And you had guys like LeBron James tweeting in with 10 laughy face emojis with tears asking if they won the chip. Kyle Kuzma tweeted in, looked like they just won the chip. Chuck said he was going on vacation because the season was over, apparently, because they just crowned a champion. This is what you missed after the game. How did you miss it? How did you miss it?
Hold on. Is he lying? They played One Shining Moment?
They did not in the arena. No,
TNT.
The Turner guys.
TNT.
No, not in the arena. No. The Turner guys had some fun for about half an hour.
You keep on, you tape or something, and then it cuts right on the game. No, I watched the game and they cut it off.
That's why
you always
any of that. You always got to add the extension. You got to extend by 30 minutes.
30-minute extension, rookie move.
Come on.
Second time they've been to the playoffs in 18 years.
No, I get it.
It was very personal.
Patrick Beverly.
The confetti. I got lost in the confetti.
The fireworks.
I love Minnesota, but I can't.
I don't
back
miss
the confetti.
anything. I missed that.
Look at that. Everybody jumping on the podium. I mean,
look, he's going back up, and now the jersey's coming off.
Second time there.
The jersey's coming off.
Why do fans go number one? You're not number one. You're seventh.
Listen.
You're seventh in the play. That's what you are. You're seventh.
With all due respect to Patrick Beverly, they do not win that game last night without Patrick Beverly. Because Karl Anthony Towns was just running through people, put himself in foul trouble the entire game.
I saw that.
Fouls out with 7 minutes left in the game. Game in the air. Now, D'Angelo Russell came through in a big way, Anthony Edwards. But Patrick Beverly's defense in the last 7 minutes, there's no way they win the game without what he did.
I watched the game when I got home, but again, I don't miss anything. This is the first for me. I didn't press the.
Yeah, you look surprised when we brought it up.
I was like, what y'all talking about? Yeah. All of that happened? Oh, my God. Okay.
And you missed the Patrick Beverly video afterwards where he goes on IG Live and he's talking, saying, y'all can take your ass home. And then Cat gets in the screen. It's like, bad boys. And I'm like, Cat, the bad boys.
By the way, can I say one last thing on this? One last thing on this. It was to such an extent, I think it affected our brothers, and we all love Charles and Shaq and those guys. Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal last night on the show picked Minnesota to beat Memphis in the series they're about to play.
Wow. I can't do that.
I saw that. Okay. Because, again, they replayed it this morning.
I think they were caught up in the One Shining Moment still.
Let me tell y'all, listen, that ain't going to happen. Minnesota,
I can't
you ain't
see
beat
that either.
Memphis. That's number one. Number two, let me show a little grace. And give my man Patrick Beverly some love. That's my little brother right there. I love that brother. And I will tell you this. I was with him. I was at the Beverly Wilshire having lunch. I'm sorry, dinner. And he came in there the night he got traded from L.A. to Memphis, and then obviously Memphis to Minnesota. Whenever it was finalized, that night I saw him, all right? We were passing through, and we stopped and spoke for a few minutes. That brother was like, I got something to prove. It was personal to him that he was let go, that, pay me or trade me, because the Clippers didn't want to give him that money. And what I would say to you is this. We got to stop. And I'm not talking about us. I'm just talking about overall when we talk basketball. Everything ain't points. Yeah, you got the stars that could deliver you the goods. But those same stars will tell you, I need somebody to play defense. I need somebody to rebound. I need somebody to be that Energizer Bunny. I need somebody that's going to feed that crowd and get us going, like Paul George alluded to in his post-game comments after the loss last night in terms of what Patrick Beverley gives. Now, Patrick Beverley was some dude that was like, yo, I'm trying to average 20 a game, and he's playing offense like he plays offense. That's a different ballgame. That ain't why he's in the NBA. Patrick Beverley is in the NBA because he is a professional pest. He agitates you. He gets you to do things you don't want to do. He gets you out of character. And by the way, whoever he's guarding at money time, I don't want them with the ball. Because he's the kind of guy that has the ability to disrupt you in a key moment. You might be getting at him a lot in the game. But that particular moment when it really, really counts, it's a regular season game and LeBron is pulling up from the right wing for a three and Patrick Beverley strips him. He didn't stop LeBron James that game by any stretch of the imagination, but that one play sealed it. When he was with the Clippers. Last night, Reggie Jackson's got the ball. I don't understand why Reggie Jackson had the ball instead of Paul George. I don't understand why Reggie Jackson had the ball instead of Paul George. Paul George should have had the damn ball for a multitude of reasons, not just because he had 30. Oh my goodness, I don't know what is it, Amber Alert. I apologize. So I don't know why. I don't know why Paul George didn't have the ball because without Kawhi Leonard, you are the star of the team. You are the closer. You should have been the one with the ball in your hand. That's Amber Alert, people, for those of y'all hearing the news. Something's happened out there in the world, so we got that. All I'm telling y'all is that's what the situation is. So, again, Patrick Beverley saying, send ass home. I don't mind that too much because we understand where that's coming from. The jumping on the scorer's table, the taking off of the shirt, and Anthony Edwards is big time. I love that brother. And D'Angelo Russell showed up in ball. Give him credit. He had 29, got a lot. But jumping up on the table, and when I see teams do that at this stage, it shows me two things. Number one, you've never really won before.
Well, they haven't.
And number two, that's right. And number two, you ain't going to win. Because if you got your eyes on a bigger prize, you ain't celebrating like that.
I just want to flip the script for 1 second. Was it a tad bit excessive? Probably.
Yeah. Yes.
But I like to reward this type of behavior. First off, the play-in tournament for me is more like March Madness.
Yeah.
Right? It's one and done. And for a team that has been to the playoffs for 2 times in 18 years, you just gave us great color on the background of Patrick Beverley. He is their leader. And I like that it trickles down into it means something. I am so tired so many times of players being so cool. Yeah. Like, hey, expect to be here. Like, act like you've been in a limo before. Yeah. They haven't been in a damn limo for a long ass time.
Let me say this to you, though, real quick, and then I'll hand it to y'all. Karl Anthony Towns is a big-time player. You didn't show up last night, bro. You better than that. 11 points. Forget the 11 points even. I'm saying that's the way I was going.
Forget it. Out of the game.
Right. I watched him. I mean, listen, I'm like Karl Anthony Towns. You fouling out. 11 points, forget all of that. That can happen to anybody. Hell you doing fouling out with 7 minutes left in the game, trying to get into the playoffs and leaving it to Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell to save the day. You ain't a rookie, Karl Anthony Towns. You can ball. You a big-time player. You got to show up in games like last night. And you damn sure better not do that against Memphis or you'll get swept.
He's got his hands full of Steven Adams in the way they defend.
I tell you what, he's lucky they bailed him out, too.
They did bail him out.
Chris Finch, who just got an extension, left him on the court in the second quarter with 3 fouls. The last guy I can remember on this level of getting his 4th foul in the first half of a playoff game was when Russell Westbrook made it personal with Ricky Rubio the year that they played Utah in the playoffs. And he was picking him up full court and fouling him in the backcourt. Even with 3, and he left him on the floor, and he got 4 that took himself out of the game. And they lost that game, ended up losing that series. So they got bailed out last night because of how well Russell played down the stretch. Anthony Edwards played. And, of course, we said Patrick Beverley, he took on Paul George the last 6-7 minutes. He picked Reggie Jackson's pocket twice. He was, to me, the difference in the game. As long as somebody's making shots, which they had a couple guys.
I love Reggie Jackson, but Paul George has to have the ball in his hands in that moment.
Yeah, why are we talking about Kawhi Leonard? When is he going to come back?
They said, the reports are saying, there's some reports that are speculating that for the first round for a 7-game series, he could potentially be back. They haven't ruled it out, but they're high. They haven't ruled it out. I'm like, whatever.
Real quick,
Kawhi Leonard.
But before we get to MVP, why did the TNT guys? Why were they picking Minnesota over Memphis?
It was amazing. It was almost like they got wrapped up in the moment of what they just saw because of how well D'Angelo Russell played. And I watched that entire discussion amongst those guys, and it didn't start out that way. In fact, Charles's first comment, he said, push comes to shove, I'm picking Memphis. And by the time he finished talking, 2 minutes later, he had picked Minnesota. And, of course, Kenny pointed that out to him, and Ernie pointed it out to him. But it was too late. And then Shaq jumped in, and it was like they were so enamored by what they saw in the young talent. It's like they forgot how good Memphis has been all year.
But in fairness to them, what they did bring up was, because that part was taped, what they did bring up was they brought up Memphis. Minnesota's playing with house money. Memphis, for the first time, had expectations placed on their shoulders. But I believe in Memphis. When they say we walking up the chimney, we want all that smoke, I've been in front of these brothers. I believe them.
Okay.
I believe
Leave it there. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. I get it. The MVP votes are in, and the Sixers finished 4th in the East, and Kevin Durant is giving the scoring leader Joel Embiid the nod. His reasoning why, that might surprise you. Take a listen.
If I had to choose, I would go Joel Embiid, led the league in scoring, double-double. This team won 50 games this year. I mean, numbers were incredible. It's a great year. It's unfortunate. I mean, it's a lot of players that have been controlled by their narrative. Some of it has been because of the players. Some of it just has been because of, perception of other people about that player. In Joel's case, more people just like Giannis and Jokic. Simple as that. They just prefer them more than Embiid's personality or his story, I guess.
All right, Slim Reaper going with Embiid. Jay, are you buying Katie's explanation?
I think it comes down to personal biases and what people like in people. I mean, when you start getting to this upper echelon, the numbers are right there for everybody,
when you're
right?
splitting hairs.
About me saying, Jokic, leads the NBA in PER and NBA history and top 10, all these numbers. But I think there's a lot of stuff that came from Joel Embiid's past that is affecting the way people look at him now. Even though this year he's been completely under the radar. Even with the way he's handled the Ben Simmons chaos, he's just put his head down and he's worked his tail off. So I agree wholeheartedly with Kevin Durant. I still have Jokic as my MVP. I think leading a team without 2 of his star players, the 48 wins, top 10 in assists, points, rebounds, shooting 58% from the field, the highest PR in NBA history. I like Jokic for him to surpass what he did last year. But I mean, it's right there at the end of the day. But I do think personal biases come into it.
There's no question. The people that vote for this, they absolutely put that into it, and they shouldn't, but they're human beings. So, as someone that votes, you're a fan of certain guys for whatever reason. Their games, the margin between these guys is so slim, it comes down to other factors. And so some people are going to say, I really kind of like Jokic or Giannis. Yes, it plays into it. But here's where I'll say I disagree with Kevin Durant. I don't necessarily think there's some sort of a bias against Joel Embiid. I think at one time people felt that way because Joel Embiid talked about himself a lot prior to this year. He would talk about himself as Defensive Player of the Year, as MVP, at one point he said he was the best player in the league and hadn't really done anything in the postseason to that point. And so people, they're taken aback by that, right? Humility is the most endearing quality you can have as an athlete. People gravitate toward it. So what did he do this year? Number one, he got himself in shape. He lost weight. He improved his stamina. He could stay on the court for 36 minutes and finish the game as a power player, not drift out to the perimeter because he's bent over and he's sucking wind. So that's the first thing, maturity. Secondly, look at what happened with this team and this organization. He didn't have a guy go down to injury. He had a guy quit on his team. He had a guy quit and go home, and his maturity and leadership and the way he handled it showed me he's in a completely different place mentally this year than he has been. And then obviously, finally, you got to go back it up with your numbers and does your team win? All of those things happen. I felt like he took control of the award like in February and didn't do anything to lose it and somehow got run down on the home stretch. I don't quite understand how that happens. Jokic's the same player from start to finish, so is he. It was pretty much a general consensus. Joel Embiid was the MVP.
Based on
and all of a sudden,
Philly?
he got run down from behind. I don't understand.
Do you think it was because Philly started losing some games when Harden came?
Yeah, but it
I know
wasn't
they won a
crazy.
couple-
You know, they didn't lose 8 out of 10. They didn't go on a 6-game losing streak. His numbers didn't go through a slump. So, to me, one of 3 things has to happen. Your numbers drop off because you went into a long slump, like Curry did at some point. It took him out of it. Your team has to lose at a high rate. They didn't, or you get hurt. He didn't do any of those things. So I don't know how you get tracked down in the home stretch.
Before you jump in real quick, so you have Embiid?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a vote.
I know.
I could have turned in the vote. I could have turned in the vote last week, week before, whatever. I didn't turn in my vote until Monday night, 2 hours before the deadline, because I've been vacillating back and forth. I had to take Giannis and his greatness into consideration. I get tired of people ignoring the greatness of Devin Booker, who is great, and we got to give him his love. Jokic, I went on Denver morning radio with my brother Mark Schlereth that used to be here. I love that brother. He does radio, morning radio, former Denver Bronco, doing radio in Denver. And I had to explain to them, like, what problems Jokic causes me, because without Porter Jr., without Jamal Murray, who I love because he shows up in big games, Jokic, with what he does, this brother is a big tub of lard, can't jump on the curb to save his life, and nobody can stop him. Nobody can stop him. There's nothing you can do with him. It's unbelievable to me. Just tapping balls to himself for rebounds. It's like it's unbelievable. You just watch him like they can't stop him. And in the end, I had to give my vote to Joel Embiid. I go to the last. I understood that there was a slight hiccup once James Harden arrived. So I paid attention to that, right? And in those first few games James Harden arrived, he still had 34, 37, 27, 2 22-point games, right? Last 15 games or so, 43, 27, 35, 34, 35, 32. Had a 21-point game, right? 30, 27, 37, 29, 37, 29, 44, 45, 30, 41. This is what Joel Embiid is doing, right? Sixers, limited bench, top 10 defense. We know Jokic don't play defense like Joel Embiid. We know that. I had to take that into consideration. And then you know what I had to do? I had to take into you know who convinced me? Are you ready for this? Zoolander.
What?
That's who convinced me. You want me to tell you who Zoolander is? Right? The male model.
Oh.
Is that Blue Steel or is that Magnum?
Remember Zoolander with Ben Stiller? Hilarious, right? Why did I say Zoolander? Male model. Why is a male model relevant to this conversation? Ben Simmons. You see the green outfit last night?
It was lamb.
You see the ice? You understand? Looking like a male model. Good looking dude, obviously. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but that's who the hell Joel Embiid had to deal with. You quit on the team. You understand? Say, had mental issues. All right. You're there, but you're not there. You don't want to play. All right. Joel Embiid had to deal with that all year long. Not a dude that was injured, a dude that quit. By the way, a dude that purportedly quit because of you, meaning Joel Embiid. Remember what the reports were saying? He really didn't get along with Joel Embiid. You know what I'm saying? Felt like he should have been a man, felt like he was second fiddle, didn't appreciate the status that Joel Embiid had compared to him. This is all they were saying, all right? So the male model, what happened? I don't want to play. You understand? Mental health issues and all that stuff. I say that, not diminishing mental health, because we understand how important that is. But damn it, we didn't believe you when it came to the mental health issues. You weren't mentally disabled or lacking mental health to avoid you buying the house. You weren't mentally disabled enough to prevent you from filing a grievance for $20 million to get your money. You seem very lucid and cogent and on point when it comes to trying to get your damn money. And then on top of it all, you get to Brooklyn. And the second that you get to Brooklyn, you know, when you was in Philly, you were looking like you was on Prozac, that there was stuff that's going on with you. All right? Listen,
we could still struggle, and you can still function in life. You can still buy a house. You can still do things if you're dealing with mental illness and fairness.
That's fair, and I appreciate you clarifying that. I'm talking about the fact that people don't believe him. I'm not diminishing anything that anybody with mental health issues goes through. I know that's real. Fine. He knows this. Find somebody in Philly who believes Ben Simmons. They don't believe him. So the point is, we looked at all of that. And you look at it, and why do I bring that up? Because Molly, Tim Legler, Jay Williams right here, I got eyewitnesses. I got receipts. The second he got to Brooklyn, did you see that man? What up, y'all? You know, I mean, happy, smiling. All right. And then, you know what? He's sitting there and high-fiving everybody, jumping on the bench. It's cool. Suddenly, there's a back injury.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, but you know what? You know, it ain't hard getting getting your drip game going. Ain't hard having the outfits on. Ain't hard looking better than most male models. And that's what. And
fresh.
That's what it comes down to. So I'm just saying, Joel Embiid had to deal with all that, and he averaged 30 and 11 on 49% shooting from the field.
Yeah.
And he is clearly elite. There is nothing but greatness shining from Joel Embiid. I hope Ben Simmons plays because contrary to what people think, I would guarantee y'all if Ben Simmons could give me a solid 25 minutes, similar to what he would do in Philly, shooting woes and all, I would guarantee you Brooklyn going to the finals. That's how great I think Ben Simmons is outside of shooting the basketball. But I had to give it to Joel Embiid. He's the league MVP. He
did have to deal with a lot. The scoring leader, and Jokic has the highest PR in a season in NBA history. We will leave it there. You two sticking around here with us. Playoff Harden has lacked the luster of regular season Harden, but even after that blockbuster trade, he's not feeling the pressure. Are the fellas buying it? We break it down. Hot off the press is ESPN's top 25 players under 25 list. So which young stars are both atop ESPN's latest ranking? So here's the deal. ESPN ranked their top 25 players under 25, and here's the top 5. Luka, who is already the Mavericks' all-time leader in triple-doubles at the top. Jason Tatum and first-time All-Star John Morant are close behind. Trey and LaMelo rounding out the top 5. Stephen A., which player under 25 is most likely to become the future face of the association?
I think everybody knows it's Luka Doncic. There's no way around that. Because he's an international star. First of all, the NBA has done an exceptional job of globalizing its brand, and we know that.
Yeah.
But outside of globalizing its brand, Doncic is a globalizing figure. He's not from America. You see what I'm saying? And so when you look at the fact that, and I'm going to say what it is, we got a league filled with brothers, okay? This is a white dude who's a global figure who can ball better than most brothers. Period. Remember how they used to talk about Bird? You know what I'm saying? Everybody doing white, black. Oh, no. They didn't see. It was black people didn't see color when it came to Larry Bird because they said Larry Bird better than us, and he talks smack better than us, too. You know what I'm saying? We all know why Dr. J got in the only fight in his career. Larry Bird went like this, I'm going to shoot right here, and then did it. I'm going to come here, I'm going to get the ball here, I'm going to come right here and put this in your face, and did it. The doctor, one of the nicest human beings on the planet Earth, pow! That's what Larry Bird got Dr. J to swing on him. I mean, think about that for a second here. That's how bad. Everybody know Larry Bird to do. Doncic is that dude. That's the difference. I'm not talking just game. I'm talking personality. I'm talking bravado. I'm talking, the Tatums of the world and people like that. The game is there. But the personality, the attitude, the moxie, all that stuff. And I see it elevating in Jason Tatum now, and I'm loving it because he can back it up, and I'm loving that. But Doncic is a special player with a very special personality. And I think the fact, from a personality perspective, y'all, I think the fact that he gets teed up so much actually helps him. He got attitude. He ain't want to go at anybody. And you see him laughing at players he's schooling, you see him shaking his head. You can't hold me. You can't check me. I don't know what language he's telling them in, but he's saying it. That's the guy that stands out in my mind.
I think that he is one of the most special players the game has ever seen. But I'm going to go ahead and say LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
And here's why. LaMelo Ball already has 8.5 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
He is already a walking reality show.
Okay.
Gen Zers in the United States know every move that this dude makes, and he's in Charlotte. So let me remind you, he's in Charlotte, right? Averaging 20 points a game this year, 7.5 assists. I watched him the other night play against the Chicago Bulls. Legs, I'm trying to tell you, it was an absolute show in Chicago. Didn't miss a bucket. I felt for like the first 9 minutes of the first quarter was on fire, but everything he does is showcased in the cars he rocks, the clothes he dresses in. Now, I'm not saying he's a better player than Luka Doncic right now, but he's 20 years old. So the footprint that he has within the national scene of basketball is different. And mark this down. I'm trying to tell you, LA was not for Lonzo Ball. LA is for LaMelo Ball. If LaMelo Ball finds a way to get himself in Los Angeles on the back end of when LeBron James is done in LA, I'm telling you, he will become the face of the NBA for the league because of the market he will be in, because of being homegrown in the United States. I am not saying that he's a better player than Luka Doncic or Jason Tatum right now. But his ceiling, praise the Lord, his ceiling is something that's off the charts, which was already established around him from a visibility and a foundation level in the United States as around marketing. His dad set it up with Lonzo, and his dad, this is the one. His dad has always said he was going to be the one. The story within itself will become a movie. Trust and believe it. That's going to happen.
Did you just say praise the Lord?
I'm just trying to tell you.
I'm just saying.
I got a little bit of Stephen A. in me right now.
Said praise the Lord.
I got a little bit of Stephen A. in me right now.
Absolutely, you actually don't, because you said praise the
The
Lord.
whole,
But I got you.
The whole thing is set up for him from a marketing story.
No, I just caught up in praise
already
the
had a
Lord.
brand.
I just called him praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. I just said it.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
These are two great answers. Two great answers, all right?
It just came out naturally around you. Look where you get me.
You're fine.
Oh, he does that. He does do that to people. He does do that to people.
Ignore him.
He does do that to people. We know that.
People respond, though. That's the problem.
What?
I just ignore you.
Do you?
Yeah, let's
You
keep
can't
going.
ignore me. You can't ignore me.
please.
man.
Hey, listen, so here's my take. Luka Doncic has the game to validate your statement without question. In fact, I think halfway through his rookie year, I said to somebody, we may be looking at Larry Bird with a better handle and a quicker first step.
Okay.
That's scary.
Crazy to say.
That's scary.
But not
Crazy
as
to
good as
say.
a shooter. Not as good of a shooter, though.
No, he's not, because he's too streaky.
Right.
But man, oh man, the way he controls the game physically, right? LaMelo Ball has the game and the social media presence, right? And that's what you're talking about, too, that combination. I'm going to go with another guy that I think has both of those things, and then he has this other element, and it's that guy right there, number 12 from Memphis, Ja Morant. So he's got the game to back it up. He's got the presence and the likability, and you see a lot of young players wearing that jersey, man. When Memphis came into town to play Philly, went to that game, Ja Morant put on a show. Now, B didn't play that night. You should have seen how many Ja Morant jerseys were in Wells Fargo that night, okay? So he's got that too, but then he's got this other component, which I think Luka Doncic will never have, and I'm not sure about LaMelo Ball, but not as much, and that's this. Embracing the microphone and the voice of the league.
That's true.
Ja Morant is going to take the mic and he's going to say things. He's not going to be afraid to say things. He's going to understand what that role entails. Luka Doncic, as great as he is, and he likes to smirk at guys while the game's going on and always act like, man, this is so easy for me. And so I think there's a natural thing when you watch him. There's an arrogance there, and I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that's going to be super vocal on league stuff and making himself bigger than the league and going outside that lane to talk about stuff. That's what being face of the league means.
I'll say this.
And I think Ja Morant will do that.
I say this. Tim is swaying me to some degree about Ja Morant, but not because of just Ja Morant. I'm going to go on record saying this. Sentimentally speaking, who doesn't want Chris Paul to win? We look at Phoenix. We look at CP3, approaching age 37 in May and is the best point guard in basketball. I'm talking about quintessential point guard. There is no point guard better than Chris Paul in the world. In terms of running a team and being a floor general, that's who Chris Paul is. But when you talk about from an entertainment perspective, not just on the court, but off the court, who is there we'd all prefer more than Memphis? You got a cadre of brothers that will walk up to the microphone and say anything and then step on the court and back it up. They come, like I love the quote, and I held on to it all year. We walking up the chimney, we want all the smoke. Mm-hmm. I do that for a reason. That's how they play. Yep. They come for you, and they tell you in advance, we coming for you. What you gonna do about it? And that's what I love about Memphis. And that is going to be, because you got a bunch of dudes that are like that on your team. It's just that Ja is the ringleader.
We're up against it. Great discussion. You are dismissed. This was your
you.
your 5th hour of television this morning. So
Praise
thank
the
you.
Lord.
Praise the Lord. He's good all the time. All right, a lot of star power in the Nets-Celtics series. You're not done. Celtics, 2 beasts in the East. Which player has the most to prove? A lot of stars in this one.
In this one?
Yeah. Kyrie?
I would say Jason Tatum.
Oh, okay.
This is your moment. Jason Tatum is a star, but he is going up against one of the greatest superstars this league has ever seen in Kevin Durant and another in Kyrie Irving. You got to average 30 in this series.
Yeah.
And you got to have at least a couple of 40-point games. You really, really do in order to win this series if you're Jason Tatum in Boston.
Yeah. Who you got, Tim?
Completely agree. It's Jason Tatum. Like I said, he wants to pull up a chair to that table, that elite select table of a couple of guys. This is your moment, man, and no better person to do it against than Kevin Durant. So you're going to have to not only do what Stephen A. said, the other thing he's going to have to do, he's going to have to win the important moments, the defining moments in the fourth quarters of the 2 or 3 games we have that are one possession with a couple minutes ago. He's got to be the guy that comes through, and that's
all I ask for in return from this series. I want Tatum and Kevin Durant spending a chunk of time guarding.
Yes, and they did the last time they played.
Yeah, that's a good matchup right there. All right, let's stay in the East because I got 2 Philly cats here. Well, Stephen A. sort of. You're really a New York cat. Meanwhile, James Harden still has to prove he's that dude in the playoffs. Only Elgin Baylor and Karl Malone have more career playoff points without you-know-what. That would be the title. Harden, though, he's not stressed, saying this to Complex. I don't have anything to prove. I don't feel any pressure. I don't feel any of that. For me, it's going out there. It's playing my game. It's trying to help my team win. All right, gentlemen. If you have educated me on anything this week, Mr. Legler, it's that Philly is a tough town, right? Do you believe that Harden is feeling no pressure considering that huge blockbuster trade to get him there?
You could say things for public consumption. You can't escape the dark recesses of your own mind. When you're driving around in your car by yourself, when you're spending time in your own thoughts, there is no question in my mind he feels it, he reacts to it. Unfortunately, the reason that he is feeling it and he's reacting to it internally is because of what his track record has been. There have been moments, and you can go back to that run in Houston, usage rate off the charts. Never seen a guy play that way before. That much dribbling to get into his own shot, leading the league in scoring, #1 seed, everything. And yet there were moments, several of them. One stands out to me more than another, Game 6 against San Antonio that year. Basically, Kawhi Leonard's out. San Antonio is conceding the game to get health for a Game 7. At home in Houston, James Harden took like 2 shots in the first 16 minutes of the game. And Mike D'Antoni's sitting there going, well, how are we supposed to win now? We only play one way with you shooting the ball 25 to 30 times a game, and now you don't want to shoot tonight in the biggest game of the year. I'll never forget it. I call it the Amelia Earhart game, the Jimmy Hoffa game, whatever you want to call it, because he disappeared. That's the nickname I gave it. And there were other moments, Stephen.
And you were right to do it.
There were other moments, too. If you go back and look, it's not just that one game. So to say that he doesn't have anything to prove is just crazy talk, because even he knows that's not true. He's trying to put that front out there. This is what guys do. They try to put it out there that there's nothing you all can say to me to make you think you're inside my head. So I'm going to say this. But that's not what he really believes in his heart. There's no question in my mind. The question is, can he answer the bell? Do you, Stephen A., have confidence, based on his history and track record, that he will be what he needs to be to give Joel Embiid what he needs to get through not only the Toronto series, but to me, you put these two dudes together, if you're not playing for the finals, to me, it's a failed year. So I'm curious, do you have enough faith in him, and do you believe that he's not feeling it inside, particularly in that city right now?
I believe James Harden could get it done. Okay. I believe that James Harden, I think that at times he's gotten a bad rap. And what I mean by that is there have been times, like you accurately highlighted, that he didn't show up. There have been other times when the brother averaged 30 and people said it ain't enough. Averaging 28 because the shooting percentage dipped and whatever. There's a lot of guys we could look at and their shooting percentages dip and they're not as efficient come postseason time. Why? Because you play in the best of 7. A team's got 7 games to prepare for you. They're not isolated from you. They play you a game during the regular season and you go on to play somebody else. No, when they get an opportunity to prepare for you schematically, they sit up there and they game plan for you, and it could cause you to be less efficient. And so I look at James Harden in certain respects, and I think that at times there have been people that have been harder on him by calling him a choke artist. I would not disrespect him like that. But I would tell you is this, though. He just lied. That's a damn lie, he said. What do you mean you don't feel no pressure? You must be out your damn mind. You better feel that pressure because you in Philly, bro. It's done changed. Life is different now, and you better keep that house in Houston. You better find houses other places. You don't want to live in Philly if you ain't ready to show up. Allen Iverson wasn't the most efficient offensive player we'd ever seen. He was a warrior. You knew that he was coming. He knew the expectation was he's got to bring it. And Allen Iverson stood up there every day and said, it's all right, because I'm coming. Mm-hmm. Win, lose, or draw, I'm coming. It's like a boxer that, you a knockout artist and all of a sudden you want to dance and run the whole fight. No. Now, if you lose, but you came out there swinging and it just didn't work out for you, the respect is still there. When you start running, that's a different ball game. And what James Harden just did, that's running. Because you
think he should have admitted that he feels pressure?
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
You know what he should have said?
Come out and say, I feel pressure?
Here's what he should have said.
Doesn't that look weak?
Yeah, you're damn right I feel pressure because I'm here to get it done and help lead this team to a championship.
Exactly.
That's why they brought me in. That's what you say.
That's how Tim said it. And in a roundabout way, I'll say it to you. This is what came out my mouth if I'm James Harden.
Okay, tell me.
I know why I'm here. We all know why I'm here. We got to get it done. That's why I came here. Period. It ain't even pressure. No, I got to get it done.
Even more so, he said, I have nothing to prove.
That's insane.
I mean, that's the part insane. To me. Like, what are you talking about?
But he knows the narrative. There's no one we talked more about that as something to prove in the playoffs than James Harden.
You're an MVP and a future Hall of Famer, led the league in scoring how many times? And you don't have a championship. Haven't been in the finals since you were back in the early days of Oklahoma City. You have probably more to prove than any player in the postseason.
Can I say this too? Yeah. And this is incredibly important because there's been a lot of rumors swirling about Doc Rivers and how he could be in trouble if they lose this series. Mm-hmm. All right? And then you hear it's because Mike D'Antoni, Daryl Morey, James Harden wants Mike D'Antoni in Philadelphia. I would remind the basketball world that D'Antoni didn't even show bad game tape clips to James Harden. PC, this is what people in the NBA community know. Tim Legler knows it. I know it. We've all heard it. People who cover the NBA know what I'm saying, okay? James Harden, to some degree, has been incredibly pacified throughout his 8 years in Houston under the Daryl Morey regime. And it's worked for him, which was fine because you were that dude and you the number one option. There's Embiid now. And so when you look at a talent like Embiid, I would tell you there's even more pressure on James Harden because of the help he has.
Don't let that dude down.
Don't let him down.
Right.
Don't let him down. Because let me tell you something, Molly. Tim knows this, I know this. You can't find one person that doubts that Embiid gonna show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone knows because he has
all season long.
Listen. He's 7 feet, Molly. Yeah. He can take you inside. He can take you outside. He can shoot threes. He can sit 37% from three-point range, 49% from the field. He can play with his back to the basket. He can hurt you dunking the ball. He can hurt you from 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, 19 feet. We all know Embiid showing up.
32
he's
and 13. That's what he's going to average no matter how many games you play.
He's showing up, and I don't give a damn.
Real quick, I want a yes or no answer, and then because we are up against it, we have to go to break. Is it fair to say that James Harden has shrunk in the playoffs in the past?
Yes. At times.
At times.
I don't think you can make the blanket statement like all the time. Because, look, he has had some great games.
He has had
but he's had enough of the head scratchers for us that watch it and analyze.
That's accurate.
Because
where he's better in the regular season.
You made the best point. It's not so much that you have an off shooting night. It's you're playing differently.
You're playing differently.
Yeah.
And that's what he cannot do.
No.
And some people play the best when the lights shine the brightest.
Well, listen, again, you might not be as efficient.
Yeah.
Hey, look at March 10th. Look at that environment in Philadelphia, what that was like, right? One of the strangest environments ever when the Nets came in and Ben didn't play, but he was in the building.
Yeah.
Who were the two guys that ran to the light? Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
I came to you the next day, and I said I'm at the game. Opening tap, Kyrie Irving went to James Harden. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
And they both put on a show.
Let's go. No, Kyrie busted his lip. I mean, James Harden shot 3 for 17 that night. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving shut Philly down. They were like this. Hell with y'all. Yeah. We gonna quiet this noise. Sure. They came to that. And James Harden knew they were coming and did nothing that night. Yeah. That's what stands out.
Yeah, let me get into commercial break. Staying in Philly, you get one block off. Coming up, what do the Philadelphia Eagles need to do to get over the hump? They're the focus of our latest installment of Draft Blitz. Mel Kiper Jr. wants in on the fun. My guy, it's the draft. Let's go. Good news for Warriors fans. Steph Curry could return to practice this day right now, but won't suit up for the playoffs until he's scrimmaged. A source telling our Adrian Wojnarowski that Curry remains a close call to be available for Saturday's game. Legs, I'll start with you. Will the Warriors beat the Nuggets regardless of Steph's status?
I don't believe it. I don't believe they will. And look,
Okay.
I mean, you look at the way they have played for the last month. You'd have to really stretch to believe that they would be able to beat a team with Jokic on it without Steph Curry. And here's why it's so important to me is I watch this team play. And look, Klay is finding his rhythm, which is good. Klay is close to Klay offensively. He still says he's not the same guy defensively yet after 32-plus games. That's going to take a little bit more time to be that impact player, but he looks better. Kuminga has grown by leaps and bounds. Jordan Poole might be the most improved player in the NBA. So they have a lot, right? They got Draymond Green back, healthy now. Here's the thing. Steph Curry, he stirs the entire thing. He just does. He stirs the entire thing. What he does to defenses and the way he makes you react and how you extend, how you communicate, the mistakes that you make, wondering where this guy is and running around and the damage that he causes. In transition, the way you get guys floating to that side of the floor, which leads to easy opportunities for everybody else. This is a classic example, this team, of the sum being far greater than the individual parts. And Steph Curry is the most important cog in what they do because you have to account for him at all times defensively. Now, look, Golden State, therefore, offensively, won't be the same. Defensively, you got a serious problem on your hands in dealing with Jokic. Steph Curry could offset a lot of that by making them so good offensively, they can make up for some of their issues on the defensive end of the floor. So, no, my short answer is I don't think so. Okay. I don't think they get past Denver without Steph Curry. And I'm not talking about just being out there, Stephen A. I mean, be Steph.
Let me say this. I've been all over the place with the Golden State Warriors. I had them winning it all.
So did I.
I had them winning it all, assuming everybody was going to be healthy come playoff time. I did not know that they would not get James Wiseman back. You can sit up there and dismiss him all you want to. He's 7 feet, can score, and he's a big man that could give you 6 fouls in 15 to 20 minutes a night. You don't have that, okay? That's number one, and now the health of Steph Curry. So I went from picking them to win it all to wondering whether they're getting the hell out of the first round. And I'm here to tell you something right now. If they have Steph Curry, they beat Denver. If they don't have Steph Curry, they lose to Denver. You're not beating Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets with Barton and all those boys. And listen, don't know the brother, ain't that fond of him, whatever. DeMarcus Cousins has been a big pickup for them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And by the way, I'm sick. Listen, there's certain dudes I don't like and all of that other stuff. I don't have to get into all of that. I'm fair. DeMarcus Cousins deserves a lot. I'm tired of these one-year contracts. People acting like they forgot who the hell Boogie Cousins is. The brother did average 28 when healthy. He can play, and I think that's been a big-time pickup for the Denver Nuggets. So he actually deserves a lengthier contract than this one-year nonsense that he's been on. I think that helps him. Barton, I like Barton. I'm a huge fan of Coach Malone, all right? I think he does a hell of a job. And I think Denver and Memphis are going to be the teams of the future, along, obviously, with the Golden State Warriors because of Kuminga and all of that other stuff down the road, because Denver's no joke when everybody comes back healthy. I don't believe the Golden State Warriors are beating the Denver Nuggets without Steph Curry. But it's important, something that I bring up about Klay Thompson. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to look into this camera and say this. I have not been happy with what I've seen from Klay Thompson. He's averaging 20, 42% from the field, 38% from three-point range. I've seen him take shots in a way that I haven't seen him take that before. I've seen him fail to make that extra pass that he used to make, accepting his role as the third wheel in the pass. I've seen him be out of character at times, and I know why. Klay Thompson thinks he has something to prove. Somebody needs to say this to Klay Thompson. You have nothing to prove. You're a future Hall of Famer. You're one of the top 5 shooters in the history of basketball. You are a 3-time champion. You were an all-world defensive player. Klay Thompson, you have nothing to prove to anybody. We know you should have been on that damn all-time NBA 75 team. It's a travesty. I voted for him to be on that team. It's a travesty that Klay Thompson wasn't on that team. But what you've done is when you've been back, even though you've had some great, great games, there have been too many games when Klay Thompson has been playing like he has something to prove.
I agree.
And that's been about him, not about the team. And in order for Golden State to advance in these playoffs with or without Steph Curry, Klay Thompson has to consistently, not that he never does it, has to consistently be about team and not proving something he doesn't need to prove to anybody, because anybody who knows basketball knows about the greatness of Klay Thompson.
I think you're completely right. I think he wanted to remind the league, y'all forgot about me.
Yes.
This is what I am. And that's not the way the Warriors play. That's not the way he plays.
Right.
So I agree. He forces the issue too much a little bit offensively right now. But the ball's starting to go in at a higher rate. Right? He's having those moments where he has an 18-point quarter, because I think he's the most combustible player in the NBA. When he gets hot, it's a different level of heat than anybody else in the NBA. When Klay Thompson gets feeling it, he's starting to get there. My biggest problem with them in this series is Draymond Green, as great as he is defensively, that's like the one dude I don't think he affects Jokic. And I don't think Kevon Looney affects him. He controls the game. He's heavy.
He's
methodical. He's so skilled.
A big tub of lard.
Yeah,
just leaning on
They
them,
need
Molly.
Steph badly to win
they're
this
8 and
series.
10 without Steph this season, but Klay's last 3 games, to your point, he did get hot. He won the last 3, averaged 37. A quick take to get into. How about the ladies, Stephen A? This was huge for you in the AFC West, the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr has agreed to a 3-year contract extension worth $121.5 million. That will keep him with the Raiders through 2025. Obviously, he just got Devontae Adams. Your thoughts on this move by Vegas?
I don't like it.
What?
I don't like it. First of all, number one, what the hell is Keyshawn Johnson texting me about? I got the
What
news
is
from
his
Keyshawn.
deal with the Raiders?
I got the news from Keyshawn Johnson before I even heard about it from our news desk. Okay, that's number one. Did Keyshawn go to? I thought Keyshawn went to USC. Did he go to Fresno State? Did he go to Fresno State with Derek Carr and then tell us? I mean, what the hell is that? Is that about? Let me tell you this. In all seriousness, Derek Carr is an incredibly good guy.
Yeah.
3 years, $121.5 million. He deserves that money. Here's what I don't like about it.
Okay.
Derek Carr hasn't done enough to have a no-trade clause. And the deal is reporting he has a no-trade clause.
Stephen A, you get what you negotiate, not what you deserve.
I understand that. Yeah. But you're asking me whether I like the deal or not, right? I'm just telling you, I'm aware of that. I've negotiated contracts a few times in my life, okay?
You made a couple?
I kind of know, all right? The point that I'm trying to make to you is I don't believe that's one of the things that I have a problem with some of these contracts in professional sports. I believe no trade clauses should be reserved for winners. And by winners, I'm talking champions. I'm not talking about, well, you got a winning record or you got to the playoffs. Hell, that's your job, okay? And Derek Carr has done his job to a decent degree. He's a damn good quarterback. I have no issue with the years. I have no issue with the money, the financial investment made in him. Yeah. I do have a problem with you having a no-trade clause. I don't believe that when you've been to the playoffs once in your 8-year career, I mean, they went 1 year, he was taking them to the playoffs, he got injured right before the playoffs, and I understand that. When you've been in the league for a while, and we just saw you in the playoffs for the first time this season against Cincinnati, a game in which you lost, by the way, I don't believe that you should turn around and have a no-trade clause. That's my only issue. I have no issue with the money whatsoever. He deserves the money, even if the money was more than that. If it was $150 million, I would have had no problem with that. If it was a 5-year deal, I would have no problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that he has a no-trade clause, because I believe no-trade clauses should be reserved for winners.
I don't.
Winners. By that I mean champions.
It's go time for the Raiders, but we know that.
Okay,
West, Wild
I understand
West.
that. Right. But no trade?
We'll get Mel Kiper's thoughts on
no
that.
trade clause. I can't wait to ask Mel about the no trade clause.
Yeah, I'm
Mel will agree with me. Mel will want to trade anybody.
Coming up,
trade anybody.
Pressure makes diamonds, or
be quarterbacks available. Yes.
Did he prove that he will be the starter for the Eagles?
Would the Eagles even be debating this if they didn't have those first-round draft picks?
Hurts takes the snap. He rolls, he dives, he scores.
For a guy like Jalen Hurts, this is his chance.
Rent is due every day. It's always been that way for me. And when that rent's due, I don't plan on missing no payment.
The Eagles' marquee move came on the defensive side of the ball. Reddick from the Panthers. Philly also traded first-round picks with the Saints and got 5 back in total. The Eagles are one of only 8 teams in the NFL with multiple first-round selections. Mel Kiper Jr. released his latest mock draft this morning and has the Eagles drafting Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave at 15 and Georgia linebacker Nakobe Dean at 18. Now let's talk to the man himself, the one and only Mel Kiper Jr. Mel, good to see you. Finally, we got the camera
My
going.
brother.
We're all good.
What's going on?
I like that blue wall.
Good, Stephen A.
The Eagles have picked a receiver in the first round for the last 2 years. Why do you have them picking one again, Mel?
Well, Devontae turned out to be really good, and Jalen Hurts now has to be really good. And they get the guy like Chris Olave, a true professional in every sense of the word. Love Chris Olave's attitude, his approach, the way he tested, the way he played at Ohio State was outstanding. And now you have Devontae Smith and Chris Olave to give Jalen Hurts an opportunity to have some success. Remember, he didn't finish strong, and he regressed a little bit. So now all of a sudden you got to get him up to where the level you need to be to win big games and be consistent in the NFL. And then you add a defensive player who could be a centerpiece of your defense in Nakobe Dean. You got something going there. Daxton Hill, the defensive back from Michigan, could be in the mix as well. Love the kid. But I think if you get an Olave and you get Nakobe Dean, you got great attitude, great approach, great football IQ on both sides of the ball coming in. I think that would be two, like I say, the consummate professionals is the way I would describe Chris Olave and Nakobe Dean.
Mel Kiper Jr., always a pleasure to see you, my brother. I'm not going to belabor the Jalen Hurts point simply because of this. I think the Philadelphia Eagles had enough weapons for him to look better than a guy that completed 61% of his passes through 16 touchdowns, just 9 interceptions. I think he's incredibly athletic. He's a high-end competitor. I believe in him. I've got confidence in him, but he still has some more to prove, and I think it's about him more so than the weapons around him right now. That's just my personal opinion. I want to get to Derek Carr because I got Mel Kiper Jr. here. Mel Kiper Jr., I got a problem. I got a problem with this contract. I have no problem with the years, even if you gave him more. I got no problem with the fact that he got $121.5 million. Damn it, I think he deserved $150 million. I do have a problem with him having a no-trade clause. I don't believe he's earned that. I don't believe people who don't deliver championships deserve no-trade clauses. They ain't Mel Kiper Jr., and they ain't Stephen A. I just want to know what your thought is about that, Mel Kiper.
Way to get yourself in the equation.
How do you feel? That's right. How do you feel, Mel Kiper, about the no-trade clause aspect in Derek Carr's contract?
My blood pressure didn't change.
Gotcha.
I'm a Derek Carr fan. Love Derek Carr. He's a heck of a quarterback. Is he any better than the 4th best quarterback in the division? It's not a criticism of Derek, but you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson. So, yeah, you're going to be the 4th best quarterback, and it's tough to win big when you are that team with your offensive line being an issue as well. Devontae Adams, great player. Hunter Renfrow, you got Waller, you got Jacobs, you got all these guys, right? The offensive line better be a lot better. Alex Leatherwood better be better, and you got to get that group cohesive and get them solidified and then playing at a much higher level. And Derek Carr, one of only, 8 quarterbacks in the NFL that didn't go in the first round that are starting, projected starters for this year. 24 were first rounders, 8 weren't. So I think you look at Derek Carr as a guy who was a steal in the second round. Now he has Devontae Adams, but it's all contingent upon the offensive line. I don't really care about a no-trade clause, Stephen A. Derek Carr is a deserving young man. He's a great kid. He's done everything he can to help this football team. Look what he had to go through last year. Look at all the things he had to go through and work through to keep that team afloat and get them in the playoffs. Granted, the Chargers kind of gift-wrapped them to win. That should have been an opportunity for them to get in. Obviously, the Raiders got in because of that coaching error. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that Derek Carr is solidified for a few more years here.
Mel Kiper Jr., I'll stand down on that because in all seriousness, when you bring up the character of the guy, there is no question that his character really comes shining through. I have to admit, if I owned an NFL franchise with the character that he's shown as the leader of that franchise, I'd want him on my team for years to come. I really do like Derek Carr. Do you believe that all 4 teams could make the playoffs from the AFC West? Is that possible in your mind?
No, the AFC in no. No, because I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to be a lot better. Now we'll see what Cleveland is. The Bengals with Burrow, they're solidifying their offensive line, which how Joe Burrow survived until the final game when he got hurt in the Super Bowl is beyond me. That's credit to Joe Burrow and the way he sees the field and gets the ball out. But I think when you look at the AFC in general, those young quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson improve. Mac Jones was the best rookie quarterback. How about Davis Mills? He was the second best rookie quarterback at Houston, right? So you got a lot. Now you got Matt Ryan in there with Indy. There's so much going on there to say that there's going to be all those teams from the AFC West. It's not. I think Kansas City may take a step back, so we'll see on that. But overall, the AFC, too many great quarterbacks, too many teams that want to get there. That's what I said. There's going to be a lot of disappointing fan bases in the AFC because only one team, one quarterback can go, and there's too many great quarterbacks. So you're going to be every year. It's going to be a revolving door. Yeah. And ironically, you think about what the NFC's done of late too. Went in despite the AFC's strength, but that's going to flip in the coming years. The AFC. Unbelievable. And it's great for the league, guys. I mean, this is what the league wants. They thought when Breeze left and Brady and others moved on, we got quarterbacks. We got two. Right now, we got a ton of them.
Of course, by far the best division. I just want to focus on the Raiders real quick. One more thing here, because looking at Carr's numbers, he's one of 4 quarterbacks with at least 4,000 pass yards in each of the last 4 seasons, along with Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes. Good company to be in. But Josh McDaniels is there now, Mel, so I feel like they're going to be handing off the ball more. What do you think they do in the draft?
Well, they don't have remember the first and second round picks. Now they have opportunity. They've solidified, they feel, the defense, the moves they made, bringing in some key guys there. To me, the offensive line is an area you want to address. You want to make sure that group is good enough to allow all these great players. They got skill position players that are as good as anybody right now. The offensive line is the critical area of concern. Obviously, getting after the quarterback, Max Crosby does that better than anybody. The young guys on the back end got to stay on the field and keep improving. So if it all comes together, they will be right in the mix. There's no doubt about it. They were this year. But I think, to me, it's all about the offensive line. And if that group improves, then they're going to win a lot of football games despite the competition, because Derek Carr will battle to the end against anybody. So you might think he's the 4th best quarterback in the division, which he is. There's no debating that. But that doesn't mean that the team can allow Carr to maybe go ahead and maybe exceed expectations going into the predictions that we'll see coming out in August, which are going to put the Raiders, let's face it, guys, when you do predictions in August, where are you going to put the Raiders in that division? Yeah. Where are you going to put them? Most people are going to have them in the cellar. So, again, they're going to be fighting an uphill battle. 4 teams aren't coming out of that division. The AFC is too strong.
Molly, I got to tell you.
What?
I mean, I appreciate all the expertise Mel Kiper Jr. just dropped down like only he can. But he took me for a loop there. I mean, I almost wasn't interested in hearing about the football. This man said his blood pressure hadn't changed. I mean, I want to know. I mean, Mel Kiper Jr. can give some health tips on keeping the blood pressure where it's supposed to be. That's what I want to talk to Mel Kiper Jr. about at some other time. I mean, hey, I might need to learn. I might need to learn that, Mel.
Hold up.
Stephen A.
Mel stays a bit even-killed, except when you watch him on draft night.
That's
all right, Mel? Then you got some. Then the Stephen A. comes out.
McShay's not in the shot. If McShay's not in the arena,
you and McShay. Oh, there's fireworks, and we're here for all of it.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to be with Mel in Vegas. We're going to finally get to see Mel in person, which is exciting.
That's right. I got a lot of things to talk to Mel Kiper Jr. about. We'll talk about it.
All right.
Always.
Okay. Our draft blitz continues tomorrow. Thank you so much, Mel. Always good to see you.
Thank you, buddy.
With the Broncos, who made one of the biggest splashes of the offseason by bringing Russell Wilson to the Mile High City. Are they now legit Super Bowl threats? We break it down tomorrow right here on First Take. And coming up, pressure makes diamonds or it bursts pipes. It's time for Steven's A-List.